And at 10, Phantom Glamrock Freddy. While Phantom Glamrock Freddy isn't the most terrifying animatronic, obviously, this is only number 10, but it is unsettling to see an animatronic that's supposed to be helping us in the next game at least get turned into a phantom, even before the game has come out. It's crazy. While not horrific, it's still putting me on edge and making me wish I didn't think of these lists. But this is definitely the least scary out of the group. The end gets absolutely bonkers. But Phantom Glamrock Freddy is also actually fairly visually appealing. This is still pretty creepy kind of way, but it's nice to look at creepy. And at 9, Nightmare Funtime Freddy. Here we go, already coming in with the heavy hitters. Nightmare animatronics are usually scary, with their teeth sharper than needles and a silhouette that would make you cower in fear. The Nightmare animatronics were supposed to be scary, especially since they had to compensate for Springtrap. But Nightmare Funtime Freddy is messed up. The character wasn't that scary originally, unless it was moving its face in an ungodly way. But add the purpose of the animatronic on top of that and you can get pretty shaken. But now add the nightmare theme and you are really in for some sweet, sweet night terrors. I swear the FNAF animatronics take turns being my sleep paralysis demons. And now they just added another one to the roster. Actually, all of these are pretty nightmare inducing, so be prepared folks. It's Nightmare Funtime Freddy, Bachelor number 2. And at 8, Nightmare Withered Freddy. Let's be honest, Withered Freddy isn't really that withered. The Nightmare version was more withered than this one was, for God's sake. But combining the two is an entirely different story. Nightmare Freddy is my favorite of the Nightmare animatronics, but adding the more tattered and rugged exterior to the Withered Freddy animatronic was the right way to go. This is what I want Nightmare Freddy to look like. This is what Withered Freddy should have looked like. Withered Bonnie and Chica are scary, but Withered Freddy was always lacking, until now. This jump scare would be something to marvel at. Maybe if it was, I would have gotten in that Central Dark video. Still salty about that. I'm the FNAF king of the office, but they didn't invite me. That was a letdown. At least you can watch me react to them whenever I play FNAF VR, which I've done a few times on the channel, but I don't want to do it. It's not fun. And at 7, Nightmare Dreadbear. Dreadbear is a recent addition to the FNAF roster, being introduced in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for FNAF Help Wanted. It's a really good design, combining Frankenstein's monster and Freddy Fazbear, but the character overall wasn't really that scary, until someone made a Nightmare version, and a load of other people hopped on the bandwagon like it was on its way to Helgen. And whether it be a combination of Dreadbear and Nightmare Freddy, or hell, even a recolored Nightmare Fredbear, these versions of Dreadbear are vastly more terrifying than normal Dreadbear. I think Dreadbear is my personal favorite version of Freddy. I love that DLC, honestly. It's so good. And at 6, FNAF Plus Freddy. FNAF Plus is a fan recreation of the first FNAF game and is a part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, where Scott has funded a load of fan games that will all take place on another Earth in the FNAF canon, but their version of Freddy's won't be the one we know, but this new and darker version. The FNAF Plus model for Freddy, though, really sets the tone for the whole game. With a wider face and overall just wider features, FNAF Plus is certainly going to haunt my dreams at night. If you haven't watched the various tapes and trailers for this version of FNAF, I highly suggest you do so because they're pretty damn creepy. Plus, Chica and Bonnie look just as terrifying. This is going to be so dark and I love it. FNAF Plus Freddy's feet are also absolute chonkers and will make anyone who has a wiki feed in their search history unsettled, that's for sure. Halfway through in at number 5, Monster Toy Freddy. Monster Toy Freddy I guess seems to be a fan character from a fan game, since it's a retextured version of the Monster Rat from Five Nights at Candy's, ironically another fan game set to have a new sequel in the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. However, Monster Toy Freddy doesn't actually exist in those games as far as I know. And while this is meant to be Toy Freddy, the character and versions I found online were basically just reskins of the Monster Rat, and not adding additional features or anything aside from a microphone, top hat, and bow tie to make them Freddy. But I'm actually scared of the Monster Rat, so it works for me. Plus, there's a Monster Golden Freddy version that also pops up when you search for Monster Toy Freddy, so yeah, it's definitely a sight to see. And at 4, Golden Call. Golden Call hails from the extremely terrifying Dormitibus universe, where everything we thought we knew about FNAF gets thrown out the window and is replaced with gross gore and body horror that will make even the most seasoned of FNAF veterans shake with fear. Golden Call is a version of Freddy that is making a phone call, but the gore behind this character makes it one of the most gruesome sights in the game, aside from Garvey, the Springtrap substitute. Golden Call has flesh peeling off of them and they're covered in holes and extra bits of gore, as if someone had died inside the suit and were left there to rot for 50 years. It's horrible, it's disgusting, and I had to look at this and write this number after I had lunch, so it's not sitting well anymore. And at 3, Havoc Freddy. Havoc Freddy, much like the Havoc puppet, is from the Dormitibus universe as well. Havoc Freddy is a distorted manifestation accident born from the Havoc puppet, who attempted to make a physical body for the spirits in purgatory from plasma. When alive, the spirit's name was Ted. He has a giant hole in the right side of his mask, revealing a large portion of his endoskeleton. His right eye hangs out the hole by a few wires, consisting mainly of a black color with a red pupil. His left eye has a blue color on it, like his real counterpart. His eyebrows look rather large, with his right one missing a small amount of itself. His top hat appears to be fine though. A long arm is connected to the left side of his head, with it wearing no suit on it, and the hand from the arm appears to be missing a finger segment, and is holding a microphone. Had to work it in. Havoc Freddy doesn't have a suit for his lower jaw, and his entire jaw is hanging rather low by a few wires, so yeah, that's a thing. And it's Ignited Freddy. Ignited Freddy is one of the main antagonists in the Joy of Creation fan game, which will have a new Ignited collection release as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. In this game, you play as Scott Cawthon, whose creations have escaped from the game and are coming after you. Ignited Freddy appears to be a burnt and charred Freddy Fazbear animatronic. He has no bottom jaw, exposing his endoskeleton's bottom set of rusty teeth, and his left ear is also missing. Ignited Freddy wears a top hat like his original counterparts did, and both of his hands are also missing, along with the suit on his shins and his left forearm. He has no real eyes, only black holes with white pupils, which is a staple for creepy animatronics at this point. And yeah, these last three are really something, that's for damn sure. Especially in at number 1, Sinister Freddy. Sinister Freddy, while being the thumbnail of this video, was also intended on releasing with the cancelled Sinister Turmoil fan game. Instead of the full game, however, we got Sinister Turmoil Sewers, which was a small section of what would have been the full game, featuring Sinister Mangle as the main antagonist. Sinister Freddy, though, is a brown animatronic bear with a lighter shade of brown on his stomach, snout, and inside of his ears. You knew that. He appears to have damage in his suit, small but sharp teeth, and no eyes. His whole suit appears to be severely withered, having large rips and tears on several pieces of his body. Sinister Freddy also sports large needle-like weapons on his wrists. It's like the hidden blade from Assassin's Creed. He also appears to have small geometrically shaped nails or claws, and a mouth with sharp but small teeth under his body that can be seen if one takes a look closely. But don't get too close. I don't like it, okay? It's absolutely terrifying and deserved to be number 1, even taking over the Dermidibus animatronics. But those are also just like an easy number 1. And I like to torture myself. You all know this. That's why we've been making FNAF content for so long.
Number 10, Nightmare Freddy and the Freddles. Definitely one of the most frightening animatronics, Nightmare Freddy appears in FNAF 4. He is dramatically more tattered than any other version of Freddy, and seems more muscular or bulky looking. He is also so tattered that you can visibly see his endoskeleton through the hole in his stomach, which seems to almost completely separate the upper half of his costume from the lower half of his costume. His teeth are razor sharp, and he also has pointed claws protruding from his fingertips. This version of Freddy also comes with the little alternate Freddles, which are like mini versions of Nightmare Freddy, who also tend to ride around on or inside Nightmare Freddy's suit. Number 9, Phantom Freddy. Phantom Freddy appears in FNAF 3 and is a version of Golden Freddy who has been burnt and seemingly has fallen more to pieces since the last game. Literally. This animatronic seems to be missing a leg based off of his movement, and he's also missing an ear. Of course, in FNAF 3, all the animatronics are hallucinations or ghosts, so Phantom Freddy, as his name implies, is never really there, but is more in your mind. Like the other Phantom animatronics, Phantom Freddy has creepy, small, white, ghost-like pupils. This version of Freddy also looks somewhat greenish. However, the design for Phantom Freddy in Ultimate Custom Night has him looking more like the original Freddy Fazbear from FNAF 1. Number 8, Lonely Freddy. This version of Freddy comes to us from the FNAF book, Fazbear Frights 2, Fetch. Lonely Freddy is similar to the Freddles, but bigger and seems a little less terrifying, at least appearance-wise. He is about the same size as Plushtrap and appears to be an animatronic-like toy. What do you think is more scary, giant animatronics or toy animatronics? I personally feel like toys are scarier because they could just sneak up on you more easily. Ugh. The Lonely Freddy we meet in the story seems to have hypnotic powers that allow him to take the place of those he hypnotizes. This version of Freddy also appears to be covered in fur. The game theorists have actually theorized that Lonely Freddy could be the same kind of animatronic as the seemingly psychic Fredbear plush that we saw in FNAF 4. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that's a good theory? Number 7, Withered Freddy. Withered Freddy also first appeared in FNAF 2. He is a version of Freddy who is replaced by Toy Freddy at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Being older, Withered Freddy is one of the animatronics kept around to be used used as spare parts for the other animatronics. As such, he has fallen into a state of disrepair himself. He is tattered, torn up, and dirty, though he himself actually appears more well kept in contrast to some of the other withered animatronics like Bonnie, who, doesn't even have a face. Or withered Bonnie. Number 6. Shadow Freddy. Shadow Freddy can be seen in FNAF 2 after all other animatronics have moved. He will sometimes appear in the animatronic parts and service area. Instead of coming after or attacking the player, he simply stays put in the place where you normally would see withered Bonnie. Instead, he will cause your game to crash or freeze if you stare at him for too long. This version of Freddy has a similar build to Golden Freddy, except that he appears to be black in color, resembling a shadowy version of Golden Freddy. He is missing an ear and has bright glowing eyes, unlike the original Golden Freddy. Number 5. Toy Freddy. This version of Freddy first appeared in FNAF 2. He is a redesigned and improved version of the original Freddy. At least, that is what he appears to be. Toy Freddy is the mascot of the refurbished Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. His system allows him to roam during the day as well as the night, like the other animatronics in FNAF 2. Unlike the original Freddy, Toy Freddy is active on night 1 and 2 of FNAF 2. Scott Cawthon has described Toy Freddy's personality as being private and reclusive, although in the FNAF AR game Special Delivery, he appears a little more friendly. Number 4. Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy first appears in the original FNAF game, although it is tricky to run into him. Not that you'll likely want to do that, because then he'll most likely kill you. In the first FNAF game, Golden Freddy was actually referred to as Yellow Bear. Unlike other animatronics, Golden Freddy is more sneaky. His approach is not as easily indicated in the game, and if he does show up in the office, the only way to avoid death is by quickly bringing up your surveillance monitor. If the player succeeds in doing this, this will cause Golden Freddy to disappear. Golden Freddy appears to be a deactivated version of Fredbear. That's what he looks like to me anyways. He is missing his eyes, and his hat and bow tie appear to be a dark metallic blue color. Number 3. Yendo. Yendo might initially appear to be the endoskeleton of Funtime Freddy, but it is more likely that he is actually the endoskeleton of another version of Freddy, not yet suited, as Yendo has a right hand, where Funtime Freddy would instead have Bonbon attached. Many believe that the name Yendo, which seems to be a combo of yellow and endo, alludes to him being the endoskeleton of Funtime Fredbear. Yendo plays a small but frightening role in the game FNAF Sister Location. Number 2. Funtime Freddy. I love all the Funtime animatronics, but I also think that Funtime Freddy might actually be one of the most frightening of all of them. Funtime Freddy is one of the animatronics belonging to the Funtime Auditorium of Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental from the game FNAF Sister Location. Funtime Freddy has a different color scheme from the Freddy that we see in FNAF 1. Instead, Funtime Freddy is white and kind of a light purple. He holds a microphone in his left hand and animatronic puppet Bonbon on his right. Or, well, Bonbon is kind of more part of him than being held, really. In place of a hand, Funtime Freddy has Bonbon attached to the end of his arm, making it look like he is holding a puppet. Number 1. Fredbear. While Fredbear is his own animatronic, you could consider him an alternate to Freddy Fazbear, in the sense that he was basically the original version of Freddy Fazbear. Fredbear is the animatronic that Freddy Fazbear would be based off of, and he was the original mascot of Fredbear's Family Diner. Similar to Spring Bonnie, Fredbear is also a Springlock model and has a slightly different shape than Freddy, who would follow after him. Fredbear, of course, is more similar to Golden Freddy in appearance, except that his accessories are a different color. But he still is the animatronic who inspired the creation of Freddy Fazbear, and for that, he deserves some recognition. I mean, we probably wouldn't have Freddy Fazbear without Fredbear.